Okay, good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to all of you. Thank you all for joining us this morning. And I can see quite a few people are looking to join, so perhaps we can give them a minute so that we can unmute everybody who's out and we can all start. So we'll give them a minute and then we'll start. Okay, I can see we are all in now. So once again, a very warm welcome to all of you for our anniversary breakfast. Today is an exciting day because not only is the sun out, but it is an opportunity for us to have breakfast virtually and engage in a topic that's very, very close to my heart. And that's about expanding our world. But before we get into it, allow me to invite Reverend Geoffrey Njenga to give us a word of prayer, and then we'll share the agenda for the day and have breakfast together this morning. So Reverend, karibu sana. Sorry, Reverend, you're on mute.
Yes, I'm told it doesn't work when you're on mute. So
Absolutely not.
I have unmuted. Now you can hear me. Good morning to every one of you. It is my greatest pleasure to be part of this breakfast. Rose or Catherine will tell me how I'm going to enjoy mine in virtual format, but we'll wait for that. You see, as we engage in this journey called life, and as we played in a particular corner, sometimes life happens and you're not sure where you are at. You do not know where you are coming from or where you are going. Sometimes you think it's over. I want to remind us this morning that even as we speak about expanding our horizon, that we are made for great things. And that really is what expanding the horizon is all about. Why is that? That is so because each one of us is made in the image of God. And God is big, and God is huge, and he wants us to be like him. So it really doesn't matter where you are at right now. I want you to be convinced of one thing, that God truly wants you to grow big. So refuse to be small, lady and gentlemen who may be here. Refuse to be put down. Rise and grow and expand your horizon, because indeed that is your calling by God and him alone. In 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 10, Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, "Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm, so that I will be free from pain." And God granted his request. And so, Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning with Jabez's prayer in our hearts, that indeed you will expand our territory, cause us to grow beyond our wildest expectations, and be a benefit to the society and to ourselves. For in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Reverend, for that short prayer. My name is Rose Sang. I will be moderating today's session. And once again, it is a pleasure to have you here with us. So just a few housekeeping rules before we can invite Catherine to say a few words. We'll request that everybody remains on mute until such a time that you need to ask a question. we do have a chat box at the bottom of your screen. So please feel free to chat colleagues who are here. This is also an opportunity for you to ask questions. So please pose your questions there, and there'll be plenty of time for a Q&A. Today, we are honored to have eminent speakers in their own right. Dr. Julius Kipng'etich will be our keynote speaker this morning. And thereafter, we have a panel led by John Ngumi. We have Patricia Ithao, we have Rita Kavashe, as well as Florah Mutahi, who will then be able to engage us more on the topic, expanding our horizon. So without further ado, allow me to welcome Catherine, who is our founder. She will give us her thoughts on the theme. And for those of us who may not know about women on boards, she will speak to that as well and give an overview and let us know why we should join Women on Board, because it is one place that we will for sure expand our horizon. So Catherine, karibu sana.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rose, and happy birthday. Happy 7th birthday, everyone. I hope you have a cup of tea, as I do, because this is our 7th breakfast. And I think, Rose, we are still at the starters, isn't it? For breakfast, do we start with fruits? Do we start with yogurt? I don't know what we start with. So take this as your starter. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my pleasure to welcome you to our 7th anniversary birthday. It has been a journey. 7 years ago, this day, we launched Women on Boards. And it was not, we didn't know that by this day in 2021, we will have 540 registered members. When we were launching the program, we were 4 members. Today, God has indeed expanded our horizon, and we are 540 members. And in addition to the 540 members, we have our supporters, other participants who participate in our various programs, and we have counted over 1,000 people. So we want to thank God for that, because it is indeed a great achievement, and we wouldn't have done it without him. We want to thank God that he has allowed us in the 7 years to grow as a network, to grow as individual members, to impact lives, to impact the economy of Kenya, because when we join boards, we look to positively impact organizations. So thank you for finding time to join this morning. And for those of you who are not our members, just to say, this is the place to be. The Women on Boards Network is about ensuring that future boards, that boards in Kenya and in the region, indeed in the region, and even outside the region, because we have programs working with people as far as Malaysia, that those boards are more diverse in the future. And why are we looking for diversity? We're looking for diversity because it is only diverse boards that deliver for the stakeholders. It is only diverse boards that make very good decisions. It is only diverse boards that make a difference. And women have great talents, which for a long time, perhaps we haven't utilized. It is important that we get that opportunity to utilize our talents, to serve on various boards, to deliver change, the little change that we can. And you don't have to do great things. Hey, when we started 7 years ago, we didn't know the type of impact we were going to have. So just think about the small little change you can make in your corner. 1, to grow yourself. 2, to impact positively other people. 3, to impact the world around you. And you will indeed expand your horizon. Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to host you this morning. Thank you to our great speakers, to our brand ambassadors who have been there pushing us and urging us on. Thank you to my co-founders, Rose, Calvin, Nkirote, who are in the room as well. Thank you to the current board. When we started, we did not have a board. We now have a board. We even have committees of the board. That's amazing. That's growth. But I do want that change that we see in the structures of women on boards is also reflected in individual change, that each and every one of us will grow as an individual because of our association, because of our membership of women on boards. And so we want to thank you for joining us and hope that this morning indeed will make a huge difference in your life and will indeed expand your horizon. Thank you, Rose. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. It is indeed a long journey that you've taken, but you know what? A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So well done to Women on Boards. And for those of us who are still thinking, we are not quite sure, we assure you by the end of today, you will be sold. Well, as we progress through the program, allow me to invite our sponsor, who has been gracious enough to be able to sponsor this event. This is none other than Elizabeth Washira, who is the founder and MD of Property Zone East Africa. I will give her an opportunity to say a thing or two about her business and why it is she felt that it was important for her to sponsor Women on Board's 7th anniversary. So Elizabeth, karibu.
Thank you very much, Rose. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me. And I'm delighted also to sponsor this event, Women on Boards. I am not a member, but I'm looking forward to becoming a member. So allow me to take you through my presentation, which is not very long, but I'll just share with you my journey of the last 16 years. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you all hear me?
Loud and clear, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Okay, so are we all seeing the slide presentation?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so I will just take you through the journey of Property Zone, which has been a 6-year journey. So Property Zone is a company that I started 6 years ago. By training, I'm actually an environmentalist. That is my background. But I work in the built environment. So it was a natural kind of progression to have another branch going into property marketing, seeing that I was already in that space working with property developers. And although I was working as a NEMA person, I'm actually licensed by NEMA. I'm a lead expert. So after 10 years of doing purely environmental consultancy, I decided to remain in the same space, but also look at it from another angle. And that's how the journey of Property Zone began. So we are governed by the Estate Agents Registration Board, and that is the regulatory board for estate agency. And that derives its mandate from the Estate Agents Act of 1984. And this was operationalized in 1987. So I already said briefly how we came to be as Property Zone. We are not new to the built environment. We have been involved in the built environment for the last 16 years. from an environmental perspective. We are NEMA certified lead experts, and we work in all kinds of projects. But of late, in the last few years, we have been working more and more in the large infrastructure type of projects. And a few examples are Tatu City, Tilisi up in Limuru, Konza off the Mombasa Road in Makueni County, and Northlands, which is in Kiambu County off the Eastern Bypass. And over the last 6 years, we have been looking at the built environment from an additional perspective, that of property marketing. So what exactly do we do at Property Zone Limited? I shorten it to PZL because it's a bit of a mouthful. So we sell property on behalf of our clients. We let out properties. We offer property advisory services. Where is it good to buy for investment? Where is it good to buy if it's something you'd like to live in? Trends that affect property prices, projections in property pricing, and we market mostly through social media. We conduct bus tours. We mount activations in corporate venues. If you work somewhere and you feel maybe you have a number of colleagues who are looking to buy, invite us. We'll come and do an activation there. And we also participate in property expos. These are some of the developments that we market, for which we have also done environmental impact assessments. Now you begin to see the link between our environmental work and our property marketing work. I think most of you might recognize some of these structures. On top left, we have Lamak in Westlands. This is the first high-rise mixed-use development in Nairobi. By mixed use, I mean it's not just commercial, it also has residential and retail space. So it's offering multiple uses in one building. Top right, we have Sultan Palace, which is in Kikambala, Kilifi County, beautiful holiday resort. Bottom left, Arboretum Manor in Kileleshwa. This is actually the first project that we started marketing about 6 years ago. And then bottom right, we have West Point Heights, which is up in Kikuyu, near the Goto. Again, this is a property that we marketed. It's now fully sold. So to continue with what we do at Property Zone, we are in the process actually of signing an MOU with NCBA because we would like to be able not just to offer property, but also to direct our clients to where they can get financing. Because this is a common question we get. Okay, you're selling me a house. Are you also going to enable me to buy the house? So NCBA and Property Zone are actually just about to sign an MOU. It's something we've been talking about for months, and we're almost there now. So currently, property focus is in affordable homes and low-cost homes. We found in the last 2 years that this is where there's more activity. There's more people that can afford to buy cheaper homes. So we decided to just focus our attention on this. And as you will know, this actually falls under Agenda 4, the Affordable Homes Pillar by His Excellency. It's part of his legacy. And he would like, by the time he leaves office at the end of next year, to have delivered at least 500,000 units to Kenyans. So the idea is to encourage home ownership by a majority of people who ordinarily would not have thought that they could own a home. So we're focusing our attention on this. And in Nairobi, the biggest seller at the moment is Bachelor's Jivanji, which is up in Ngara. This was actually an old estate that was demolished. The homes were actually condemned. It was old, not even safe to live in it anymore. So this is actually what we see almost across the board with the old Nairobi City County estates. they're all really old. They've not been refurbished or maintained since they were built. Most of them are condemned. So because the county cannot afford to refurbish or rebuild these homes, they have entered into joint ventures with private sector. So the JV model comes in where private sector are bringing in the financing to build. The county is giving the land in the form of the old estates. And together they are developing the old estates. And then there's, of course, at the end, the revenue sharing, whereby the county will get back a certain number of units, because these initially are county actually estates. They house county staff. So the county is getting back a certain number of units. And the joint venture partner now will go on to sell the units that are remaining, to recover their money, and of course to make money, because at the end of the day, it's also a business. The revenue sharing is a ratio which takes into account the value of the land and the financing that's going into it. So it could be a 20. Sorry?
Sorry, we'll just give you another minute to wrap up if you don't mind.
Oh, okay. Let me quickly just go through the rest of the slides. Tilisi, Kitui, also low cost affordable homes, and we also have high-end homes that we're selling. So we're different because we have early knowledge of the developments, because we're involved at the approval stage with the NEMA licensing. And we look into things like riparians and all these kinds of environmental issues. So our clients buy knowing that they're buying something that is a safe investment. This is our team. And then lastly, I conclude, that is my telephone number. Please feel free to reach out to me. We have all kinds of exciting properties, and we'll be happy to walk with you on this exciting journey. And that's the last slide with our contacts. And I'm available to, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you very much. Sorry if I took a little bit long.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And thank you for sponsoring the 7th anniversary. You know what they say, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. So thank you for your generous sponsorship. And we look forward to having you on Women on Board, so that then we can be able to engage with you further to expand our world, especially within the property business. So thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so on that note, I know I'm keeping you between Julius's interesting thoughts on our theme today. And so allow me to walk this journey with you. So imagine you're in a field, a very big field, with lots of doors, some opened, some closed. What a great inspiration. However, it's hard to leave our comfort zone. I was talking to a client the other day, and she and I both talked about how expanding our horizon resonates with many of us. And one of the things she said was, you know, better the devil you know than the one you don't. And for me, the bottom line here was, we are afraid of the unknown. The dreams, the aspirations, the wishes for how our life could be are all exciting, but terribly scary as well. So what is the payoff for not taking action? It means we stay safe. What is the price for not taking action? It means we will never know what could have been. So what side of that would you rather be on? I know it sounds simple, but it's far from that. We are conditioned to stick to it, make things work, stay in our lane, which sometimes is defined by others. But what does that get you? You keep the other people happy, but you always remain discontent and unfulfilled. So this, for me, is really possible for you. And I'm glad that we have this conversation this morning, because the road to this possibility is built on expanding your horizon. contemplating what is possible for you, and developing the beliefs that what you want is truly possible. Nothing worth accomplishing is easy, but getting where you are today wasn't easy either. So the first step is making change and to create the environment where we imagine that it is possible. So it gives me great pleasure to invite our keynote speaker for this morning, Dr. Julius Kipng'etich. He's no stranger to women on boards, and I know this may sound not very nice, but he's a great sponsor of women initiatives. Dr. Kipng'etich is the regional CEO of Jubilee Holdings. He manages about 5 different countries within East Africa, as well as Mauritius as well. So let's put our hands together, I know that we are virtually, and invite Dr. Julius Kipng'etich to share his thoughts around expanding our horizon. Karibu sana, Daktari.
Okay, thank you very much, Ross, and thank you to the team on Women on Boards. It's always a great pleasure for me to join you. This is the second time I'm joining your team where we share ideas. Thank you also, Catherine, for starting this initiative. There's always a place for a founder forever. And thank you for encouraging other women to rise up. I would also like to wish you a happy birthday, 7th birthday. Usually when people are 7 years old, they're in class 2. So I don't know how your class 2 is doing today, but I'm sure you are happy that the child you created 7 years ago has now come of age. And I wish you a much longer and many happy birthdays to the future. I also would like to thank Property Zone. I listened to the presentation and you can see women making things happen everywhere. And then also because we're in the middle of a pandemic, I want you to keep safe. This pandemic is serious. Always keep to the protocols. And remember, a virus always mutates. So we are in that stage where the virus is mutating. There are several versions. You could even be having a Kenya version already. And my only advice to you is if you get an opportunity to be vaccinated, please do. It's important that you keep safe because then you not only keep your families, but also your community safe, plus yourself. And it's also nice to say, when this pandemic happened, the people who have responded well to this pandemic have been women. And I would like to just acknowledge 2 of them. One is Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany. As a world leader, she took very bold action, and COVID has not had a significant impact in Germany like other European countries. You had the sad story of Italy, Spain, UK, France. Very severe impact. But Germany was spared because of her leadership. But the accolades globally go to the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda. Jacinda Ardern New Zealand was the first country to have 0 infections. And they have been able to keep that low infection rate for a very long time since this crisis happened. And she went for re-election and she won by a landslide. For me, women have certain qualities that they use to manage a crisis. And that is what actually should be the theme of today's anniversary. Okay, the qualities that women bring on board. And I am glad that we are looking at what are the things that are limiting you from then bringing these God-given gifts to the table. We are in a crisis, and I think the best exemplification of male leadership in a crisis and the outcome is Donald Trump. He created a total mess, this crisis would not have reached where it is had America had a better leader at the time it happened. But because of his ego, male ego for that matter, we are in the crisis. And the thing escalated to what it is today because of just leadership. And the final comment I'll make as a preliminary is the new leader of Tanzania. As you are aware, 3 weeks ago, Tanzania had a death of their head of state, actually as a result of COVID. And the reason why there was a delay in announcing was the typical thing that happens in this part of the world, jostling for power. And history will be written. When history is written, a lot will be written about how Samia Suluhu managed that crisis. She was able to navigate. She was the most unlikely to be president. And the fact that she was put as vice president, nobody expected her in their wildest imagination to be president. But she was able to navigate the crisis, know that there has been a death, and take it through to the very end until she became head of state. And if you wanted to know the signals of that there was a crisis, the general in charge of the defense forces issued a statement of loyalty. And the question was, why would a man issue a loyalty statement? It means you are disloyal at some point. It means they tried to prevent her. But look at how she has navigated. And in 2 weeks, she has created several things that are showing indicators of a very tough leader. And I would like women on boards to begin documenting Samia. She will make waves. She has made some very simple common sense statements that are usually the hallmark of great leadership. Okay, so with that preliminary statement, let me just say a few things about today's topic, where women are expected to expand their horizons as they grow. And then, of course, I like the word which is used, that a lot of these things are self-imposed. The limits themselves are imposed by you. So let me just talk briefly about what are these limits themselves, so that then we say, how do we grow beyond these limits? And a lot of them are self-imposed. The first limit I would like to look at is attitudinal. A lot of the limits that keep women not growing towards and maximize their potential are their mind. The way you are socialized as a child has a lot to do with how you think today. Your self-esteem, your behavior is all because then you are told a girl is supposed to be this way. I remember when we were in high school, I used to ask our teacher, why aren't we doing home economics? And he said, those are for girls' schools. And said, but homes, men also cook, and they need to understand. And said, no. So you can see a lot of our attitudes are formed because then society has certain boxes for us. And I would like us to I'll give you some ideas of how do we begin dismantling these barriers. The second one is cultural, okay? So what are the cultures of a society? These cultures are defined by the values and behaviors of that society. And so therefore, through generations, women have been then boxed into certain compartments as mothers, as daughters, as grandmothers, as even in offices, women are expected to perform certain roles. Even in the boardroom, you'll find that if tea is supposed to be served, people look at the woman in the boardroom and say, it's obvious, it's you. And you can see all those cultural biases are then brought into your everyday decisions. The third one is education. You know, for a long time, women have been disadvantaged. Luckily in Kenya, that disadvantage is not too severe. But in many countries in Africa, women are severely disadvantaged when it comes to education. And if resources are limited, usually the boy child gets priority. In some communities, then it's changing now in Kenya. But beyond Kenya, a lot of things are still biased against women. And yet you require education and knowledge to seriously go up the ladder in the workplace and also in the boardrooms. A lot of it are dependent on your level of education, and I will talk about it later. The fourth one is family. Families also impose a lot of barriers, and some of it I'll mention, but what I can say at this stage is that, let's say, for example, at the household level, a woman then says, okay, I'm sacrificing my career for the children. And then the man then continues. Now, if you stay at home, say until your children finish high school at the age of 18, by the time you are 18 and you have not advanced your education, you are functionally illiterate. And so therefore you have sacrificed yourself, and many women do. And for me, I always say, don't do it, okay? You can always outsource some things. You can always create more time for your children, but don't say, I will be staying at home because of the children. Why should it be the man? And tell the man, okay, the woman will work, and then I will advance my career. So a lot of these things are because probably your parents or your in-laws impose those limits, or your spouse or partner, whatever name you call them. So all these barriers and limitations are what then constrains you, and a lot of it are in your mind. And if you are able to say no and move on, a lot of the advancement of women will begin to happen. Jacinda, for example, in New Zealand, got a baby while in office, and she took the baby to parliament. And then, of course, the men were frowning and say, oh, are babies allowed in the house? Who said they shouldn't be allowed in the house? It's just male ego to say, why are you bringing a baby? Yet the same men were babies themselves. If you look at even our parliament here, there's a lot of restrictions on entry to the parliament. But in Tanzania, when Samia was appointing a vice president, our ADC, who then has become a woman, took the letter to the speaker in the National Assembly. I'm sure most of you saw a video clip. And she entered the parliament. Such a thing would never happen in Kenya. Why? It's because the way our society has grown, we have certain habits, and those habits then become impositions on how we behave. And then probably the fifth one is political and administrative environment becomes a barrier. You know, if you look at our politics in Kenya, they have been largely male dominated. Why we have never had a woman president, I don't know why. I know probably, but there are a lot of barriers then to women entry to parliament, and a lot of them are even imposed by women themselves. Majority of the voters are women, but why don't they vote women candidates? It's because of socialization, the way we have been socialized to say, oh, the place of a woman is in the kitchen. But all those are now barriers we must begin dismantling for us to progress. So I have a few ideas of how we should dismantle some of these barriers in the mind and then also within the society. So the first one, how to dismantle these barriers, is the women themselves must be comfortable in their skin. You must be comfortable as a woman that there is nothing physically limiting you as a person to do what a man can do. And you must be comfortable. Now, one of the things I see sometimes in boards is instead of women being assertive because they are women, they try to copy and want to be a male in the boardroom. So you become a male copy rather than an assertive female. Yet the purpose of bringing you to the board is we want an assertive female rather than somebody who wants to be like a man in the boardroom. We have too many of them already, don't be one. So it's always important you become an assertive female and not a male copy. So be comfortable in your skin as a woman and say there's nothing wrong. It is the way God intended it to be. Okay. Jacinda, for example, didn't say, oh, I shouldn't have a baby because I'm a prime minister. No. She said, okay, my role as a woman will continue irrespective of my position. So she became an assertive female and not a male copy. And then the other thing is there was pressure for her and her partner to get married. And she said, I am not ready and I will marry when I want. And so therefore, our partner is not our husband in the way we define. So sometimes I see in Kenya, women are ridiculed and say, go and marry first. Jacinda, to me, should be your best example of what a woman needs to be when in power, just become a woman. The second one is enhance your education. You must then, at all times, increase your knowledge, read widely. So there are two parts. There's the formal, keep continuing. Kenya is a papers market. They like papers. In much of Europe and America, they go for what are you bringing on board? The skills. So skill society, ours is a paper society. Be that as it may, get them. There's nothing wrong with getting them. So go to the highest level, educate yourself. However, you must also read widely. Read widely. Okay. You might ask, when is the time? There's always time. Everybody has 24 hours. And that 24 hours, you must create moments where you need to read. For example, some of you can afford to have a driver, and I hope you'll have a female driver. Okay. Samia in Tanzania, throughout the male security, she has a ADC female, and the people, the security, the core security around her are all female. So she was not shy about herself. She was comfortable in her own skin and say, if men can protect other men, why can't women protect other women? And I like that approach. So create time and pockets of it to read and advance knowledge. So it could be in a car, you have a driver. Please, you have a half an hour, read something that advances your knowledge. It could be an online, you can be listening to a podcast. Create a time. It could be 1 hour before you sleep. It could be 1 hour when you wake up. So there are so many pockets of time. Identify those pockets and advance your knowledge. Read, read, read. Because when you go to a board, that is, you are bringing the sum total of yourself. So it's not just a question of saying, oh, you're in an insurance company, you then must understand insurance matters. You're bringing the sum total of yourself to the board, plus your knowledge, your experiences, and a comment you make, management can pick it up and say, oh yeah, there's a board member who said this, and it's something you read somewhere or something you listened, some TEDx or something. Build your knowledge, enhance your knowledge, and it's something which is lifelong, continuous, and forever. Number 3 is build solid networks. Friendships. These are the things you bring that then, these solid networks is what advances you from one board to another one. Okay. For example, we have been looking for young people below the age of 35 to come to our boards. We run several companies, 13 companies in 5 countries, and we are looking for young members of our boards, okay, for diversity. So female, sometimes we say, oh, we need a lawyer, we need an accountant, we need this. So now we have a place to go to, women on boards, but at the same time, we will then, when we interview them, we want to know what are you bringing, what value are you bringing on board? And as I said earlier on, you're bringing the sum total of yourself. So what are your networks? So these networks, because of technology today, are also found online. So I would like to be able to find you in LinkedIn, probably Twitter, Facebook. I don't like Facebook myself so much. You have your own personal website. Some of you are bloggers who write stories. So all these things is about building your community, and you are bringing also that community into the boardroom. So I would like you to build solid networks. Some of them are found in clubs. When COVID is over, clubs will still be there, and you build all this, a card you give, you never know how it links to another person. So all those networks is a sum total of yourself, okay? Number 4 is build a strong support system at home. For you to be able to advance yourself, you must be standing on solid ground, okay? That solid ground will be defined largely by your family setup, okay? Your spouse, your partner, your children, your parents, your close friends, all those contribute to encouraging you, inspiring you. So build very strong support system, because that support system is what you fall into to share ideas and say, I have this idea, I have had this, there's this question, what are your views? So support networks are very important, because then it pushes you as an individual to then contribute to society. So even your state of mind, your clarity of things largely depends on how peaceful things are back at home. So make sure you create that peaceful environment. And I'll say something later on about that peaceful environment. Then the next one is also understand your environment. One of the contributions I see of many board members, the ones I like, are those who understand not only their area of expertise, but also goes beyond that area of expertise. And if, for example, let's say you are an accountant, but how might you know, for example, about climate change? Because that's a topical issue. And you'll be making decisions about the investment. And are you going to invest, for example, in a coal plant? If you are, say, somebody who has widely read, you'll be saying, let us be sensitive to issues of, say, the environment, okay? Or, for example, if you are making a decision on, say, in insurance, expanding an education policy, how much, for example, you as a board member, do you have understand about general education in Kenya or East Africa or in Africa? How much knowledge do you have? So that wide knowledge is very important, because it is what you are contributing at a higher level. What I used to tell university students is, the higher you go in an organization, the more general you become. You are a specialist at the bottom, but as you climb higher, you become a generalist. A generalist is somebody who has an appreciation and knowledge in a wide breadth. So read widely, understand your environment basics, you know. Like, if I may ask the women in this forum, Rose, how many of them know the land area of Kenya relative to, say, UK or Germany? It's basic information. What's Kenya's population? Okay. How many Kenyans have university education, for example? Do you know? You know? How many people are pastoralists in Kenya? Little things like those. So you can say the same thing on Africa. What is the size of Africa? It is 30 million square kilometers. What's the size of the US? It's 9.9 million. So it's 9.9 million. So Africa is 3 times the size of America. But why is America the richest country in the world? Why? When your mind starts questioning things in proportions like that, you start putting things in context. Because remember, a board meeting, for example, is quarterly. You come there, you make contributions, and then management picks it up, and then they go and implement. Your contribution is a sum total of your experiences. And if you don't say things within the context, people then look at you in a board and like, hey, where are you coming from? And they start dismissing you. And then now you reinforce the stereotype. Women. If a man says the same thing, he'll likely be forgiven. But if a woman says the same thing, things out of context, people are just like, your place is in the kitchen, go away, or something like that. So it's very important that we understand and appreciate that you must always understand your environment. Then the 6th one is exercise your affairs in moderation. I have serious challenges with people who are extremists at senior levels, because then as a leader, you're an influencer. The best influencing position is always in the middle when you are a moderate. So exercise your affairs in moderation, whatever they are, whether it is religion, okay? I've had instances where somebody comes to a boardroom and says, I am saved. Okay, forgive me those of you who are saved, whatever that means, but let me just use that as an example. To me, getting saved is a form of religious extremism. Now, when you come like that, in a board which is diverse, and they could be atheists, agnostics, and whatever it is, then you are paralyzing thought, because then you are coming in with extremist views. Same thing for love, same thing for alcohol, same thing for everything that you do. You must exercise things in moderation as you say something, okay? And be sensitive about diversity and differences in people. So then your comments are within the context of the diversity of the society. Okay. I hope I've been moderate on that context. Then number 7 is deal with your insecurities. A lot of the challenges that women have is because they are insecure. Okay. It's not that men are not insecure, they do, they are. But a lot of women are more insecure, in my view. And you have to deal with these issues of insecurities, okay? I know all of us worry about money, worry about our families, you worry about yourself, your self-esteem, okay? There are many things that you worry about, okay? But have confidence. Just like I said at the beginning, be comfortable in your own skin. Don't be insecure, okay? If you have a proper support network, you can always fall back. So one of the things I would like you to have is you must create a safe space to fail. Create a safe space for yourself to fail. So that means your support network is that safe space, your family, your friends, okay? So that then you can begin to experiment. A lot of things that women try to stretch, they are fearful of being called a failure. They are fearful of what people will say. So once you create a safe space to fail, then it's easy for you to try things, to be creative, to be innovative. And so therefore, you don't feel insecure. Now, let me just give you an example of not creating a safe space to fail. And this is a joint account with your spouse. Something very popular, and I'll be very unpopular in this forum today, but I'll say it nonetheless. Please don't open a joint bank account. Because you see, when you have a joint bank account, it means you see each other's transactions. And now, if you see each other's transactions, then you become scared that if I spend on something, okay, what will my spouse think about? So you're not creating a safe space to fail. If it was your own personal account, you can try something, fail, and then say, okay, voila. Now, in the theory of systems, there's a concept called decoupling, a decoupling mechanism. A decoupling mechanism is giving a subsystem some degree of independence in the short term to deal with unexpected disturbance. Now, couples must create a decoupling mechanism for themselves. Okay. So the decoupling mechanism is create a safe space where you can try things yourself. You can even try a business, just like property zone. And if you fail, it's okay. But you are within that safe space to fail. And that now does not create the insecurities that then you have. So there was a forum where I was addressing some couples, and I said that thing of make sure you don't open joint bank accounts. The women were very happy, and the men looked at me with hostility, but I had said it anyway nonetheless. So I'm saying it here again today. Please forget about those. Create your own safe space to fail by decoupling. And you can Google what a decoupling mechanism is. Okay. And then probably, as I come to the end, is learn to deal with conflicts. Many women self-impose themselves limits because they don't want conflict. Guys, conflict is part of life. Okay? It's part of life. Differences. God created us differently, and it was deliberate. It's not that He wanted us to be the same. And so therefore, learn how to handle conflicts everywhere, at home, in the workplace, everywhere there's conflict, because we are different. So what some of the skills that then must emerge for women to rise up is how to negotiate your way out of conflict. So try to, understand that in the workplace, and especially at higher levels, there's a lot of jostling and politicking and creating space, because it gets narrower as it goes up. So as it gets narrower as it goes up, there'll be a lot of politicking and jostling and backstabbing. Women tend to break down and cry and say, oh, don't rise up because people pity you. Rise up because you are able to negotiate your way up by being assertive, by learning how to manage conflicts and dealing with differences at the top level, decision making. So it's very important that you dismantle barriers by negotiating your way out of those barriers. Don't look for sympathy. Learn how to assert your space in the workplace, not because you are a woman, but because you are a different human being in your own right. Then you are able to negotiate your way out of conflict. God has given you skills that we men don't have. And a lot of them are to do with patience. There's a lot of skills in a woman. There's a lot of, God has given you skills on empathy. You have incredible empathy, more than men by far. You are able to understand a wider lens. Men are very narrow. like a horse in the race course, they have been given blinkers. Women are able to see a much wider degree. That's why they deal with this COVID conflict in a much better way, because they see the greater impact. I can tell you, if we had a woman president in Kenya when COVID happened, the approach would have been totally different, because then God has given you certain skills to deal with crisis much better than a lot of wars in the world would never have happened if we had many women presidents. It never happened. But because, God gave men a generosity of ego. Read about Sigmund Freud. That ego is then what is then driving, the assertiveness. They can go to Iraq and bomb the place. A woman would never have done that. So if you look at countries then that have allowed women to emerge, they are more stable. If you look at the Scandinavian countries, a lot of them now have female leaders, and a lot of the social programs that then come with it, because you are home builders, then are very different. So in conclusion, then I can only say the following. It's about time we dismantle all these barriers that have been formed over generations. They are not going to be easy. To change a lot of these things means it might disadvantage groups which have previously been advantaged for generations. Like, for example, men. Men have been advantaged in the household, in the workplace, and they are not going to just accept to accommodate women overnight. It has to be a struggle, and you have to assert yourself and take your place. So it's a change program. It's beginning to happen. Some of it has taken a lot of education. So we need to encourage females to go to school, okay? I hope to have gender parity probably at university level. It's not too bad at secondary school level in Kenya, but at university level, then you see the differences. And then encourage also women to go for STEM. So then science, so then we demystify about science and women, because that's where the greatest disadvantage is. So a lot of things have to happen in society, and we must navigate. But remember, power is never given. It is taken. So if women want power in the workplace, you will not be given, I assure you. You have to take it. That is why you need skills on how to navigate and negotiate your way out. So, young people say YOLO, which means you only live once, which is true. All of us, God has given us one single life. But in that one single life, you make a lot of decisions. So we also describe life as the sum total of your decisions. So life is the sum total of all your decisions. There's nothing else you do other than make decisions every day, all the time. So it's a sum total of your decisions. Please make them wisely. But you can only be a wise decision maker if you break all these barriers and assert yourself. And remember what I said at the beginning, don't be a male copy. Be an assertive female. Don't be like me. Just be yourself, be assertive, take your place, and live it well. Because if you live it well, only once is enough. Thank you very much. Asante sana. Back to you, Ross. Ross, you're mute.
Thank you, Daktari. What a session. Don't be a male copy. Assert yourself. Power is not given, it is taken. But I'm still at that point of the joint bank account. I think I'll probably have another session with you. We'll need our own webinar to have that conversation.
Yes.
But wonderful thoughts coming through. Everybody is indeed delighted to have had you on this call. Powerful, powerful messages. I love it. Power is not given, it is taken. Amazing work, Dr. Kipng'etich. So thank you. Thank you very much for that session. I had promised you that we have a few guests with us who are with us this morning to take us through a question and answer session. And I can see a lot of us have questions coming through. So before we get into the Q&A, allow me to introduce two special people who are here with us today. The first is our good friend, and this is none other than John Ngumi, who is currently the chairman of ICDC. He is the immediate former chairman of Kenya Pipeline Corporation Board and has also chaired the board of Konza Technopolis Development Authority.
Hey, unataka nianguke.
You can mute, please. Thank you. He served as an inaugural director of the Communications Commission of Kenya, which is now Communications Authority of Kenya, and oversaw the creation of Kenya's present telecommunications landscape. He is a career banker and has been a corporate investment banker in his own right. He will be joined by none other than Florah Mutahi, who's the founder of Melvin Marsh International, the Kenyan-based family business established in 1995. They manufacture flavored teas, which were launched under the company's renowned brand, Melvis Tea. Today, Melvis Tea serves millions of cups of tea each year. The product base has expanded to include not only flavored teas, but herbal and fruit infusions as well. She's a passionate entrepreneur and innovator, a mentor and a champion for manufacturing and women in leadership and matters youth. Interesting conversation this morning. And so I'll request the panelists to please put on their videos so that then we can have an engagement. Thank you. There you are, Florah. It's nice to have you on board. And I hope you're a member of Women on Boards. I need to check the register.
You need to check the register.
So, karibu sana.
Asante sana.
I had seen you earlier. So John Ngumi, are you on the call? And of course, Dr. Julius Kipng'etich.
I am indeed on the call, although I wonder with all that Julius has said, whether there are any questions. I think he's answered them all.
Well, you know us ladies, we love to talk. So there will be a few questions for you, that's for sure. And Dr. if you could put on your video as well. I think there are a couple of questions that are coming through. Dr. Kipng'etich, I hope we didn't lose you. Okay, so there you are.
Yeah, I am.
All right.
How are you, John?
Very, very well, Buona, very well.
Welcome.
Asante sana.
Hi, Julius. Hi, Julius.
Hey, Florah, how are you?
Hi, John. I'm very well. I'm very well.
How is Melvin's tea?
Melvin's tea is doing very well.
I have some on my table.
So you know what is good for you. You know what.
Yes, I know. Yes.
Yeah, it's funny, during COVID, everybody realized this is a natural product. So
yes, natural product, yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
So karibuni sana. This morning we have a powerhouse with us.
Okay.
So you know what they say, Florah, ladies first.
All righty.
And so the question to you is, you built a company from the ground up at a time in an industry that was very male dominated and still is, I must say. And entrepreneurship was frowned upon, especially for ladies.
Yes.
We grew up, as Dr. had said, with a certain stereotype that, you finish university and you get a job in the bank or, but here you are, decided, well, I'm gonna, break the ground ceiling and set up my own company. So walk us through that journey and what that has meant for you and some of the lessons that you would like to share with the ladies and the gentlemen on this forum around breaking those glass ceilings within the manufacturing space.
Well, thank you very much. And like you did say, yeah, as soon as I finished college, I didn't get a calling. People say, I want to do this, I want to do that. To me, it didn't quite come. I couldn't crystallize what I wanted to do. So of course, I think I was good at accounting. My father said, say you're good at accounting. So I followed the story and I went into CPA, I joined Strathmore. And that's when James McPhee sort of pulled me aside and said, listen, obviously you're not paying your school fees. And I said, what's that supposed to mean? And he said, well, I've noticed that, you barely do the bare minimum. And he told me something that has never left me. He said, do not do things, stand up for yourself. Do not do things for others. And that was my aha moment. I came home and I said, you know what? Now is when I'm going to really say what I want to do. And I wrote my letter of resignation, came home and said, I'm done. I want to start my own business. And that's how it sort of came about. I can say everything broke loose. I was told I'll be a failure. Women don't do that. My then boss actually was an auditor. And of course, we had audited a couple of companies. And I said, I want to be the one doing what they are doing. Coincidentally, it was in manufacturing. So I had seen a lot of manufacturing businesses. And then she told me, okay, whatever you do, please build something that is going to have a legacy. Build something that is going to last. Because she started taking me through some accounts and she would say, this account, this turnover used to be X, now it's Y. Because perhaps they went into trading or they just went into things that would not be sustainable. And I believe that's where now the nuggets of knowledge just started coming in. So there was James McPhee, there was my boss. Of course, at home, I came home and said, then I want money. And they're looking at me like, we took you to school. Helped you get a job. We think now you should be settling and getting married. So forget that story. So it was kicking and screaming. I went around in the industry. I found who was giving money. I think Kenya Women in Finance were giving. So I came back and said, listen, they just want your security. And they were like, no. Eventually, my mom being a lady, I think, and an avid entrepreneur, then buckled down and gave me a little bit of support and they gave me money. But she was very clear with the manager, make sure if you're not giving her my money, you give her money, I'll just secure it. And really from there, it was building up the business and having to grow, without the necessary, A, I didn't have a plan, remember. B, I was fighting all these social norms, no finances. I didn't even know how to do a business plan. So it was really continuously learning. And like Julius said earlier today, always be learning. Until today, I am always learning. So what have been my lessons along the way? I guess number one, always be learning. Listen to people. When I went to register to actually do tea, I remember the gentlemen who were signing me up in the tea association in Mombasa. They said, you're quite arrogant, young girl. I was like, no. They said, how do you think you're going to go up against? There was only a monopoly at the time, but it had been lifted. So how do you think you're going to succeed against these people? And I said, I just will. But those words didn't leave me. So when I came back from Mombasa, I started asking myself, these guys are not crazy. There's something they're saying. And that's what then made me realize, okay, I'm never the type to do, I'll follow the road less traveled. So I said, why do I have to do what they are doing? Why don't I do some value addition? And that's where the whole idea of, flavored tea came in. So let them do black tea, I'll do flavored tea. Even the salt I launched, it was my first product. I did free flowing salt, not just the normal salt that was in the market. So those are other nuggets of knowledge I've learned along the way. Governance, I think we're talking about boards. I think within about 5-6 years, I started struggling with my own thoughts. And I met somebody who, in fact, I had gone to borrow money. And he said, let me see your balance sheet. And he looked and he said, young girl, you have no idea what you have. You have money here. And I said, yeah, but they're not paying me. He said, you have a board. And I said, no. And he was called Jero Mashari. And he said, listen, I will be your board member. Go pick a few people, read up what it is, and I'll be your board member. So still today he's my board member. But it's been brilliant because you get people now who help you think, they challenge you, and you don't get your friends. You get people who can tell you the truth. One time they told me, are you in disarray because the industry is in disarray or because you, the CEO, has no clue what's going on? Those are kind of people you need to really help you grow. So basically that is it. So I learned from a long time ago to stand up for myself, speak what I'm thinking, read, learn, and network. Rose?
Thank you, Florah. Travel, road less traveled.
Road less traveled, yeah. Don't do, and I find a lot of Kenyans wanting to do that. They want to go into tea because so-and-so is in tea. They want to go into trading because so-and-so in trading. Find your niche, follow your path and grow it. There's a fear. Yes, people always say, aren't you fearful? Yes, there is. But isn't that what keeps entrepreneurs awake? I'm wondering, am I going to succeed in this area? But you learn, you grow, and today, you know, with so much, Google is your friend. Okay, be careful what you're reading in Google. But there's so much knowledge out there. Of course, during COVID, people put out even more knowledge out there. So today you have really no excuse to be a Me Too kind of person, Me Too kind of brand. You know, Julius said there, don't let women stop being like men in boards. I definitely don't do that. I'll appear in my pink, my red. I will say what I'm saying. I remember during one of the boards, I was actually pregnant, and they would always have meetings at 7:30. And I said, "Excuse me, gentlemen, this is not fair. I really don't think we should have all our meeting." And they turned and they first they were shocked, and then they turned around and they changed the time of the meeting. You know, so I think it's also speaking your mind and really just be proud of who you are.
Okay, thank you. So very similar thoughts to what Dr. is saying around bringing your own self to the boardroom. So thank you for that. John, we have one for you. Now you've sat on many boards, again, organizations that are quote unquote perceived male dominated, whether it's Communications Authority, sort of, you know, Kenya Pipeline, Konza. From where you sit, what is stopping women from rising to the top and taking our place in society, perhaps not just in the boardroom, but in corporates as well?
I think that I will follow Julius and tell you as it is, rather than tell you what you want to hear. So bear with me, and I'll go straight to the point. By the way, my voice is hoarse. I have been traveling. I've just come in from a very tough 2-week trip across Africa, so I may not be as clear as I hope I usually am, but so do bear with me. First and foremost, I would say you've got self-imposed barriers. And Julius touched on those for a moment, and I will summarize them as such. Number one, that the women can't do certain things that only men can because this is the way they have been done, or because the organizations involved are very tough. In the last few months, I have been part of a process that has brought in women as chairs of what are called the muscular parastatals.
I'm sorry, John, I think
Can you hear me?
we are having a problem with your connection. Is anyone else experiencing it?
We can hear him.
I'm fine.
We can
We can hear
You can
him.
hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Clear.
Okay, go on, John.
So I've been part of a process that government has pursued deliberately of bringing women to the chairmanships of what are regarded as traditional muscular parastatals. The two most noteworthy being Kenya Pipeline and Kenya Power and Lighting. And interestingly, in the dialogue and conversations that went on there, only one lady was supportive of these acts. All the other ladies were, with reason, fearful of whether their fellow ladies are being thrust into impossible positions where you face corruption, you face abuse, you face inducements, you face lies, and so on and so on and so forth. Fortunately, those of us who pushed for women prevailed, and those of you who may have read Vivian Yida's speech the other day, or to Kenya Power and Lighting shareholders, will admit that it is the first time that the issues bedeviling that corporation have been laid bare. So this myth that women can't, I dare say, and you will probably not agree with me, it is not men who are driving that myth, it's women. The other self-imposed barrier is, what will other women think? I'm not sure that I need to expand on that to all the ladies here. I've had that that expression used by many ladies about other ladies, and I don't think it is in my place to expand on it, but merely to point out that that is a horrible barrier. The third point is related to my first point, which is that there is a boys' club that decides, I will never be able to break into it. How will I get into the boards of this, that, the other? Well, ask Flora, ask Catherine herself, ask Rita Kawashe, who I believe will be talking to us later on today. Ask all these ladies who have managed to break in. As I told my first ever gathering of women on boards, there is no boys club. There is a power club, and people gravitate towards power. You don't have to go to a club, a physical club, to be able to exercise power. People come to power, and you have to exude that power. You have to exude that competence in the ways that Dr. Kipng'etich was trying to tell us today. And really, if you keep saying that if I go into meetings, if I speak, I'll be humiliated, I will not be effective. Of course, that is exactly what will be the outcome. So those are what I have always regarded for a long time as self-imposed barriers that women have set upon themselves. The external barriers, which I have seen many times, are number one, active discrimination. Don't be fooled. Even as I said earlier, that some men will support women, there is a definite active discrimination which must be fought. Number two is a lack of a talent list. Catherine knows about this because I've been shouting about it in a gathering that we have, in which Flora and others are also members, that people pick people from places and contexts that they know. If women do not take the trouble to create talent lists from which people will pick, you will have the phenomenon we've had for far too long in corporate Kenya, where the same ladies are circulated around boards, and I'm talking about boards here, because they are the only ones who have chosen to put themselves out there. And finally is a lack of knowledge of how these things are done. And that's why sessions like this one and the speech that Julius gave earlier, it's quite important for you to understand how people get to the positions that there are, how to behave when you get there. So that's my quick and dirty summary of barriers that hold back the women. Rose?
Thank you, John. I guess to sum it up, it's really our own self-imposed limits that are stopping us.
Not 100%, but they play a big role. I told you, I will tell you things that you may not want to hear.
Okay. Thank you, John, for that candid conversation. And I want to pick it up from there and address this question to Dr. Julius Kipng'etich. I hope you're still on the call.
There.
Okay. Purpose is one area that we talk about. Perhaps as a result of socialization, we ended up in careers that, we're not passionate about. But here we are many years later, and we want to find purpose. Talk to us a little bit about that and how it is that we can begin to seek purpose in life so that then we live a more fulfilled life.
Okay. I think many people confuse purpose with career. Purpose, you see, God has given you one single life. There's nobody with a double one. And it's not that long, by the way. I mean, science has elongated life. And most of you in this forum probably have less than half of your life that you have lived so far remaining. You see, When you define purpose, it is what is your calling? What are you there for? But you have to relate it to what are you aiming for yourself? There are two things I always say that you should aim at as a human being, male or female. One is you must be happy, happiness. And the second one is freedom. So are you happy? Are you free? If you are neither of those, then a lot of the things in your life don't fall into place. You can fulfill us by being a teacher. Okay, you can fulfill your purpose by being a sweeper. You can fulfill your purpose by being a plumber. Doesn't really matter. So long as internally, intrinsically, you are happy and you are free. Okay. Now, economists, have confused people over time. The measure of a human's worth has a lot been linked with money for a long time. But a lot of that is being revised today and moving towards what behavioral economists call gross happiness. There's an indices. And happiness has been measured globally. And for example, the Maasai of Kenya have been classified as some of the top 10 happy people in the world. Now, if you look at them, they are very low income. They live in a manyatta, okay? But look at the environment they have created for themselves and the pride they have, and they say they are probably much happier than you in Nairobi with a little more income. So purpose should not be confused with a career. A career can change rapidly, but your purpose in life will stay constant for a much longer period. So that is my first comment on purpose. The second one is, as you then grow over time, okay, you fulfill your purpose using several tools or different paths, okay? Look at myself, for example. I've taken zigzag, okay? But my purpose has remained, which is service to society. It does not change, okay? You give whatever you do, you give your best, okay? Sometimes your best may not give the outcome that the organization wanted, but you have given your best, okay? And you have fulfilled your purpose of service. So then you don't go, a lot of people negotiate their way in organizations by demanding pay. And usually when I'm interviewing managers or any other leader that comes to our organization, when I hear an employee, a potential employee talking about, you give me this salary or nothing, that's not a person that I want to employ, because then this person is just interested in money, money, money. But if somebody says, I would like, to have this impact in society using this organization as the platform, that is somebody who is thinking big, okay? So even when women come on boards, a lot of the things that you must come with is, what is your own purpose? You see, Florah said that she was challenged by a teacher, McPhee. So McPhee challenged her and said, you don't seem to have that flair to do this particular course. Why don't you go and do something that makes you happy? At that moment, she discovered her purpose. So she went and reflected and said, I want to be happy, I want to be free, and negotiated with the employer, can I do manufacturing the way you do? The rest is history. So it's very important for you to say that my purpose will be fulfilled by several or multiple career paths, rather than saying, I must be a lawyer and suffer being a lawyer, I'm an unhappy lawyer, and then eventually you die an unhappy person. That one single life that God has given you then becomes a waste. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Purpose is always one of those subjects that are hard to define, difficult. But when you do get it, you really get it.
Yeah.
Flora, I would like us to wrap up the Q&A session, but before I do, I want to have your final thoughts. Flora, if you could put on your video, please.
Yes, it's there.
Okay, fantastic. So your final thoughts, but while you do, perhaps speak to us around what are the 3 things that you would want to inspire or leave the ladies with in this forum so that they can go out there and expand their horizon and move away from their self-imposed limits?
I think the first one would be taking up from what you have been discussing around purpose. I find a lot of women reaching out, hey, I want to join this board, I want to join that board. And I keep asking, first question I'll ask them is why? Oh, it just looks good. Or, there's no real reason why somebody wants to join a board. Some do say, yes, I want to give back. And for me, that is why one of the reasons that I do. But when you've decided that, please learn to show up. I keep telling people, serving is not something that you have to be paid. Oh, how much do they pay? What? And they send you the CV once and they never look for you again. To me, that is not a purpose. And I keep telling people, serve where you are. If there's somebody in church you're being asked to serve, serve. Somebody's asking you to serve, in your parents, teachers, whatever, for your children, do it. Because when you show up is when people really know what you're worth. I keep laughing when I keep telling people when I was asked to join the board of KM, I didn't even know much about it. I was a member. In fact, I was not even a member, but I was a manufacturer as a lady. And I think a friend of mine asked me to join. I came and I started, all I did is I worked out the minimum number of meetings I could do without whatever. And my argument was, I'm running a small business. These are people in really big business. They've got PAs and executives. And so in my mind, I said, I can only give so much. Anyway, I continued, and of course, then they spotted me. I then was the chairperson of CAM. I can tell you the gruesome, for me to accept to chair, we had a fight with my then chair for about, I think it went on for 3 months. And again, my fear was what am I going to do? What's going to happen? Anyway, he won, and I took the chairmanship. In the time I was chair, my business literally grew the first year by 30%. So sometimes I think we fear too much and we are too, what's going to happen, put things in place and get out there. But I must say, I want to tell women, show up, fight for it if you really want it. From there, then of course I went to be, I'm now the chairperson of the anti-counterfeit. Similarly, I think I did a roundtable that went quite well, and they said, hey, listen, come and help us sort this out. So it's really about showing up and being there. Those are the real messages I want to tell to people. Serve because you want to serve, not because you want to get a salary. I mean, most of the ones I've done don't even pay. 2, learn to show up. 3, always be learning. Always be learning. Learn. And the other one is network. That we're not going to find you in your home. And networking, I keep saying, for a woman is not going to the clubs and the bars and playing the golf and everything. No, it's literally just going to places where, it's standing out where you are. I must say, I don't do the clubs, the bars and the whatever, but I do tend to network with these people, perhaps professionally, where you are. Make yourself heard. Don't be that person. Women, when you walk into a room, you're always somewhere back there. Come in the front, sit in the front and, say something. You're intelligent. That's why you are where you are. Say something, be heard. So the kind of messages I'd like to tell women is, it's not about being a woman. In fact, I'm always asked, how is it? And I'm like, I don't even remember I'm a woman. For me, when I want something, I'll go for it. And the final one is, our measure is not the same. I'm not measured how Mr. Kipng'etich is measured, how John Ngumi is measured. Our bar is higher. So be prepared. Preparation is so important. Be prepared, actually over-prepared. Thank you.
Thank you, Flora.
One more. Always yes. Pull other women up. In every single board I sit in, I always ask, can we add the women? When we're employing, I'm always the one saying, is there equal opportunity? When I go to schools, I'm trying to encourage people, let's get the women in STEM education. When I'm sitting even with my relatives, I keep telling them, fight. Why are you accepting, So I think it's always pull other women up. Get up, but pull other women up.
Excellent. Thank you, Flora. Show up, be heard, pull other women up. And I guess that's what Women on Board is all about. coming together and growing each other.
And
So
fight for your space. Fight for your space. If you don't find a space, pull up a folding chair, fight for your space. Stand in the room, but fight.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Florah. Thank you for your wonderful thoughts and insights on this topic.
All right.
John, let me get your final thoughts. But while you do, you talked about there are no boys clubs, just power clubs, and that we must build the skills and the knowledge to be able to get to these places so that we stand out to be counted. As you give your final thoughts, perhaps speak to us around how do we know how these things are done? How do we get involved with the power clubs? And what are some of the things we can begin to do going forward from today to then be able to build a critical mass and stand up to be counted as female leaders in this society?
Let me take off from what Florah has been saying, and I'll give you practical tips which hopefully will answer that and also talk to give you the confidence that you can get that power. You know, when I'm in the boardroom, and a boardroom is a very good microcosm of society. I watch people, and I have distilled my advice to women especially into various snippets, which I will let you have in a moment. And it is very strongly my view in terms of power that it's not that power is bestowed upon you. Dr. Kipng'etich has already disabused you of that notion. But people will gravitate to what or where they believe power is. So how does power emerge? How do you suddenly become the go-to person for people? You become the go-to person for people by showing up, as Florah said, by speaking up, by being there, by being visible. So if you take the boardroom where I started, I have purposely encouraged the women to join boards, and I have purposely mentored them in boards. And I give them very practical examples that tell them and show them the path to dominance, really to power, and which I think in a few cases has served them very, very well. So I hope you also benefit from this when you go to boards. So in the boardroom, number one, don't be a wallflower. Speak. You must speak. You must be seated where all can see you. You must be on time. You must not hide in soft committees. And then here I'm very strong on that point, because the women tend to look for, I want to be in the board human resource committee. I want to be, those are what are, yes, they are important, but you want to be in the muscular committees. You want to be where things are done. Read your board papers, be on time. Then there are others which sometimes people find contradictory. But let me tell you, men are scared of and attracted to strong women. They terrify us and attract us at the same time. So know how to use your feminism wisely. When to be steely, when to be demure. This goes to the heart again of what Julius was saying earlier. You must be feminine. Don't be a man. Don't try to be a cold man. Such things don't exist in terms of women. Use your femininity properly. Remember also, and this will come across as extremely sexist, but you've asked me to give you tips to power. Remember that men in these surroundings are almost always unconsciously competing for your attention. We can't help it. A woman in the room, a pretty woman in the room, a strong woman in the room, a woman who knows what she's doing. Hey, unconsciously we will do that. If you look, when I was in college, I remember participating in the UK general elections. Commonwealth citizens are allowed to participate in the UK as long as you are a resident. And I remember voting for Mrs. Thatcher. And I recall studying her intensely. And if you can, please study her to understand how women get and acquire and keep power. And I realized that Mrs. Thatcher never, ever, ever underestimated or underemphasized her being a woman. On the contrary, she used that power very strongly, not in a sexual way, but she knew that men are men, and that in the same way that men will gravitate towards a powerful man who can do them harm, they will or can give them favors, they will gravitate towards a powerful woman who will give them attention. So you ask me, where is this boys' club? It's right here. It's in this ladies' club. But you just have to remember to use the power of women. Rose?
Thank you, John. Using the power of women, be feminine. And it's interesting that I learned today is that men will unconsciously compete for your attention. So very interesting the next time I'm in a boardroom. Thank you very much, John, for that. Tari, Dr. Kipng'etich, I hope you're still with us.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So your final thoughts as well as we wrap up this session of the question and answer. John spoke to the issue around being feminine, but power as well. So speak to us around soft power and how we as women can utilize soft power to be able to get to where we need to go.
Okay, I like the word soft power because men by design and the way God made us, we tend to gravitate towards hard power, you know, systems, structures, you know, things like those. And that is Trump-like, you know, we are just a smaller version of Trump. But look at what I said earlier on at the beginning. Women are very good in listening because the first quality of a leader is to listen. And women are very good at that. So you are actually very natural leaders. But because then men are rough and hard, you tend to be shoved off the table of power. So I would like women to sort of use their natural God-given gifts of listening and assertiveness and empathy and patience, because those are your critical points, and that's where soft power resides. And then now use that to assert yourself. And it goes to what John was saying. When you're in a boardroom, you know, if you have read your papers well, you are wide knowledge, it doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman chairing, they will always be seeking your opinion. And what goes around, remember, we're in a small world, what goes around that there is this lady, very tough on boards, very clear, and understands the direction of things. It doesn't matter whichever industry. And by extension, okay, people then tend to share that person. So remember always, as I said, please educate yourself. Have a lot of knowledge. Connect dots. You see, boards is about, you know, management papers are coming in. If you prepare yourself, connect the dots, okay? Use your knowledge, your environment, understand the basics of life and connect things. You become a very strong contributor in defining direction and overseeing what management is doing. And if you do that, then you'll go very, very far. You know, I keep giving example of Jacinda in New Zealand. You know, if you actually, I hope you watch a video, just Google a video of Jacinda herself. Jacinda is very simple. It's not, but knowledgeable. That woman has a lot of knowledge. But if you see her with a baby in her office, you would think it's just a normal kawaida woman. She's very intelligent. And she has a cabinet largely of male, more male. And our partner himself is not a married person. They are not married, but they're just partners. So I use her to define the kind of modern woman who is in this forum. And we are saying highly decoupled. They are not too tightly coupled, highly decoupled, giving each other space. She has dealt with her insecurities. She's not insecure about herself. She's very comfortable in her own skin. She doesn't care about what people think about her. She's like, oh, so what? You know, because as John said, men tend to be very sexist. So in fact, you should be proud of that. Okay, you admire my legs. Oh, yeah, they are. You know, so things like those. So be proud of who you are. And it's like, oh, okay. Because men tend to be very visual. So all these things are what should make a woman have a lot of confidence, but the greatest confidence has to be attitudinal, your own mind, yourself. Liberate yourself, and then in the process, you assert yourselves, and then as Florah said, you lift others. But you can't lift others if you yourself is feeling depressed. There must be shoulders for other people to step on, then they go far. But if you are yourself, you have sunk. Where are the shoulders to step on? So you must assert yourself, and then in the process, pull others, okay? And don't fear also to ask for assistance from men, people like us. That's why me and John Ngumi are in this forum. We are the men that are going to assist, you know, in providing our shoulders so that then women can soar to greater heights. And we are here. We are here to support you, and we'll give you ideas to go forward. We want people to succeed. You know, the mantra these days is, if the male and the females, which are the engines of the economy, if both of them are running, society will be more balanced and there will be incredible progress. Many societies are running with one engine now, only the male, and the female is oppressed. If we run with both engines and we run with them with sufficient respect for both parties, the world will be a much better place to live in. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you very much. I guess, as you rightly said, there is a U in success. So we should be able to be successful with those little nuggets that you've shared this morning. So thank you all. Thank you, John. Thank you, Florah. Thank you, Dr. Kipng'etich, for sharing your insights this morning. From the wall, I can see everybody is very excited, lots of takeaways, and lots of gratitude as well to the three of you. So thank you very much, and we look forward to your support as we walk this journey in Women on Boards and as we expand our horizon. So at this juncture, we had promised you an interesting surprise. We had promised you some goodies that Catherine will be sharing this morning. So without stealing the thunder from her, allow me to hand it back to her so that she can tell us what this 7th birthday looks like and who is in it and what they're going to be doing for us over the next year. So Catherine, over to you.
Woo, thank you. Thank you so much, Rose. Thank you, John. Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Florah. And I'm having my Melvin's tea this morning. I hope everybody else is having their Melvin's tea. Wonderful conversations. I have taken copious amount of notes, and I'm going to be revising them all over again almost every day. Now, we are 7 years old, and Dr. said we would be in class 2 if we were living beings. And so in class 2, what are we going to do differently this year as Women on Boards? And there are 2 things that we are going to do differently this year. One, we are going to focus more on mentorship. Mentorship of the younger women, mentorship of the older women, because there is no age at which you can say, I don't need a mentor. So we are going to focus on those. And the board and the committees of women on boards, and Kirote will introduce some of them a little later. The board and its committees have decided that we do need to put formal mentorship sessions in place. There are going to be 3 different types of mentorship programs that we are going to put in place. The first one, I want to thank John Ngumi, because John Ngumi has been instrumental in having that put in place, which is that the chairs of, the female chairs of state corporations have actually agreed to mentor members of women on boards. And so many of you will have seen the communication that came from us asking you to nominate yourselves if you want to be mentored by one of the chairs, and to share with us your profile so that they can go through and nominate or pick up whoever they want to mentor. So that's the first one. And that one will be run quite separately from the other 2 that I'm going to speak about. The second one is that we are going to start having group mentorship sessions at Women on Boards. In addition to the group mentorship sessions, we are also going to put in place a one-on-one mentorship session that will be run locally. Of course, you are aware that we have a mentorship program that we run with global, as part of the Global Women on Boards program with Lead Women Malaysia. But what I'm talking about is a local mentorship program, which we are going to run. And we will be sharing snippets of those, of what needs to be done and how you can get engaged and how you can join the mentorship program as we go along. So that's the first one. And I'll be asking Patricia and Rita to be sharing some thoughts about mentorship, whether they have benefited as mentees, whether they have benefited as mentors along the way. But before I do that also, let me also share the second program that we have for you this morning, because John will be leaving us soon. And the second program that we will be launching this time is, last year, we identified 2 people to be our brand ambassadors. That is Patricia Ithau, who is on this call, and Rita Kavashe, who is also on this call. And they have done a lot of work in terms of just encouraging women onto boards and helping women find their safe space and find their voice and be the best they can be. This morning, the board and its committees are glad to invite to that small club of brand ambassadors 3 more people. And the 3 people who will be joining us as brand ambassadors are no other than John Ngumi, Julius Kipng'etich, and Florah Mutahi. Why have we found it necessary to recognize these 3 as brand ambassadors? They have been awesome in terms of supporting us. Caroline Nauma, if you could mute, please. Thank you. They have been awesome in terms of showing us the way, in terms of pulling us up, in terms of just helping us get the number of board positions that we have gotten in the last few years. And I can't thank John enough. He keeps calling me, Catherine, send me these CVs. I can't thank Julius enough. He keeps encouraging us and speaking to us and telling us it is possible. I cannot thank Florah enough. She's always asking us for CVs for women to sit on boards. And so I want to invite Rita Kavashe and Patricia Ithau to speak to us about their mentorship journey They're as mentees or as mentors, and at the same time, then receive Julius, receive John, and receive Florah as new brand ambassadors for women on boards. And given that there will now be 5, I think we shall be asking quite a lot from them in terms of how do they want to shape this brand ambassadorial role that they have. So may I please invite Patricia, and then I will invite Rita.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Catherine. This has been a morning really worth waking up for. Just listening to the 3 speakers, the point that you never stop learning just kept resonating in my mind. You never stop hearing new things, never stopped resonating in my mind. And I must say, just listening to the 3 today, Julius, John, and Florah, I was blown away. I'm one person who have believed that mentorship is not just a relationship, is not just sitting and talking to somebody face to face. Mentorship is also virtual. Mentorship is what you read and what you see in the things that you like, or the things that you like in people who you feel you'd like to emulate, or you like what they're saying or what they speak. In fact, just this week, I was speaking again to a group of women, and they're saying, oh, mentorship, who are your mentors? Who do you look to? And I said, it's all those people who I absolutely admire for what they stand for what they do, and just observing them and watching them and asking myself, what can I learn from them? And how do I listen to what they're saying? And how do I take out what I'm learning from them and apply it in my own way to who I want to be and the journey that I want to take? So mentorship for me has been exactly that. The journey of the ambassador has really been about, I had on my phone this wonderful list of every time somebody would ask me I'd want to join a board, I'd ask the same questions that Florah would ask. But then the other thing I'd do is send me your name, and I have this note in my phone where I've got this name of all these ladies, and I've saved a file with all their CVs. So then the minute anybody asks me, then I'm able to look and say, what about this particular person? But what I find about the Women on Boards network is we finally created this power club. And I love what John said today. I'm not going to use boys club anymore. I'm going to use a power club. We've created this amazing power club now, because now there's a great reference point for any time anybody is looking for recommendations, references, etc. So to all the women on this call today, I really would like to urge you to say that mentorship is not always necessarily a one-to-one thing. Mentorship is your ability to do the things that John spoke to. Learn, continuously learn. And how do you learn? By observing, by looking to read things about people you admire who have gotten places, how they did it, what they did, and what can you take out of that. And today I am incredibly happy to have John, who in many ways has been my mentor as well, especially in the recent past, in the last couple of years. I've found him an incredible sounding board every time I had a thought. He's always going to be candid. He'll always speak his mind, and he's always going to say it like it is, which is something that I like. As Africans, that's something we really need to adopt, this ability to speak our minds and be what I call hard and fair, which effectively means you're speaking the truth as opposed to somebody, as opposed to speaking what is not true behind somebody's back. And something I find about John is exactly that. He'll say everything as is, and if it's not going to work, he will tell you it's not going to work. He's not going to lead you up a garden path. But more than anything else is he walks the talk. Whatever he says he's going to do, he walks the talk and he makes it happen. So really a fantastic addition, because in my journey as well, in getting on boards, I've always believed in ambassadors and champions. They're both good, male and female. And I'm always happy to say that somebody like John fits that bill completely. Then when I speak to somebody like Julius Kipng'etich, I have known Julius, I mean, we went to the same class We did our undergraduate together, sat in the same classes, and I have known him that long. So again, somebody who has been a mentor, a guide, a friend, and you know, friendship is not really about seeing somebody every day. Friendship is the ability to call on somebody and you pick up exactly as if you had had a conversation yesterday. And that, I think, is something that I enjoy about Julius. We pick up as if, you know, we had a conversation yesterday, even if we have not been in touch for a year. His words, his wisdoms, absolutely incredible. I mean, some of the things that I learned, I think I need to pick a leaf. Decoupling. I used to tell people that, you know, I'm married, I'm not a Siamese twin, but now I have found a wonderful expression called decoupling, I think, which is a lot more kosher and better to use in this situation. And this thing about safe space to fail is a concept which I'd use in the work environment, never ever thought of using it in my personal capacity. And thank you so much, Julius, for sharing that. You're going to be an amazing ambassador and being what they call a girl dad. Is it a girl dad? I heard all of it coming through in your conversations, every single point. That is a real girl dad speaking out there. And then finally, another woman who I've known for many years, my year mate again, amazing. I could almost picture the conversation when she said, when she started her journey in manufacturing and Florah, because everybody at that time thought she was stark raving mad, leaving a fantastic career, in quotes, in a consultancy firm to go into this completely unknown space called manufacturing and a business. And the passion with which you went with, the resilience, and you know, Florah is one of these people who looks at you calmly, straight in the eye, and says it the way it is again. A woman after my own heart. But I think in many ways, what she has done is that boldness. Many of us actually, we have all these dreams of what we want to do, but we never execute them. And for me, every time I'm looking for that little edge, that little push, it's examples of the Florahs that I look to, because then if they can do it, why can't I? Amazing again. And I remember her journey also as KAM chairperson, her resistance, and somebody whispering to me and saying, just imagine, this woman is really mad. Why does she not want to do this? And I had not spoken out to her in a long time. I remember calling her and asking her, Florah, what is the problem? Why don't you want to do this? And everything she argued here came through again. But more than anything else, it was really telling her, you will be doing a disservice, not just to yourself, but to that association if you don't take that. And she did a fantastic job and opened up the path for so many of us other women. So really, really excited to have this group, and a warm welcome to all of them and to everybody else. Remember, show up. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you very much for those very, very, very wonderful thoughts. Rita, some thoughts about mentorship, some thoughts about your brand ambassadorial role and the new ambassadors that you're now welcoming. Over to you.
Thank you, Catherine, and happy anniversary. So as I was seated here and listening to the power speak from Dr. Kipng'etich, John Ngumi, Florah, I'm like, it's time for us to stand up. Really, enough of talk, because we have come of age. At 7 years, it's time to unleash. I sat here and thought about that song, that she's an eagle when she flies. And I'm like, here we are, over 160 women ready to fly, because for you to belong on board, women on board, it's because there is something special. There is the fire in the belly that wants you to do things differently, to achieve purpose, to be great. And we have all that it takes to be exactly that. And it's our time to be leaders. Dr. Kipng'etich has talked about Jacinda and all that. There are many of us in this room ready to fly. because the 21st century, it's about the skills that we bring to the table. The skills around resilience, the skills around courage, those are the soft skills we're talking about, empathy, flexibility, caring, collaboration. This is us. So what else are we waiting for? It is our time, ladies. 21st century problems are going to be solved by the skills that we bring to the table, because it's about aging population, it's about talent, it's about managing through very complex systems, and we are the people to do that. So I feel like I just wanna say, let's all stand up and just do it. Enough of talk. We are strong, but we can't do it alone without all these great people that have come today to support us today. As Patricia says, we need both sponsors who are male and female, and we need hard talk. Let's go for those mentors who challenge us, because through challenge, we get to the next level. And I remember in my early career years, as I was being prepared to be a leader for General Motors, I remember being in Shanghai with one guy who ended up becoming my boss. And over dinner, when we sat with different bosses to just try and figure out who are we, can we be truly leaders of our corporation, he told me, hey, lady, go and change that picture of yours in PeopleSoft. PeopleSoft was our tool where you get access to all our employees. And I'm like, what do you mean? I said, you look like you just painted your face with the paintbrush. You look better now than you look in that picture. So my own boss never told me that, but this guy told me to my face, go fast and change that picture of yours. To me, that was the best advice from that conference, because indeed I came, I changed the picture, because it all starts with how we look. We are talking here, Patricia is saying my classmate, we were in the same class, my friend, he's like this. First, we start to work with people we like, face it or not. First impressions and all that is the starting point to building long-lasting relationships. So it's in the soft stuff that somebody talked about that we begin to form those relations and all that. And mentorship is for sure powerful, and we are more than eager. I remember how Patricia and myself got hooked by yourself, Catherine, to be ambassador, is because we were challenged. We were getting tired of being almost branded the girls' club, because we are being recycled. It's the same women who are appearing in board positions. It's Patricia, it's Rita, it's Flora, it's Catherine. Why are we not bringing this new group of women? And I remember we called you very, very concerned about how this thing is going. And there's so many women who are talented, who have got the right skills that we need right now to move society forward. And I believe that's how we earned our position, because then we got into a conversation immediately, and you organized a workshop where we were talking to women. So we were talking about purpose earlier on. The desire to serve. You know, we came because we wanted to serve. So I always challenge women when we are having these conversations. You want to serve. There is a cost to that. You can't be just, I want to be in a board, yeah, because it's good to be in boards. You know, I appear in the newspaper once in a while and all that. No, you have to put up yourself. The number of board papers I have this weekend to read for a board meeting are enormous. I kind of feel like I don't have time for myself, but because I have chosen to serve, then I have to do that which I have chosen to do. So there's a cost to that. So let's understand that. But it's really wonderful that we are joined with great people we respect. Talk about that power club, power that John talked about. We want to connect. I personally wanted to connect with John because I thought he had some power. He's connected, he's known. Everybody, every time you're in a meeting, there's someone wanting to bounce an idea to him. And I'm like, who is this guy? I want to connect with him. I came to your conference, Catherine, because in fact, I needed time to be able to understand this guy and to connect with him. I created time to be present. Mentors are all over. Patricia here is my mentor. When I'm stranded and stuck, I call her. Hey, Pat, can we have, okay, we have wine. Can we have a glass of wine? and I bounce my idea because I am safe. I feel safe with her. I feel safe to share. I feel I need to have that space to be able to ventilate, to bounce ideas and all that. So let's leverage this. And what you're forming, this mentorship club, we really, really want it. And in our role with John Ngumi on chairs of state corporation, women chairs of state corporation, we're already ventilating and discussing with you, where is that place? How can we mentor these women? And we are creating time to support other women to come up, because together we need the collective strength of very many women to be able to take the country forward. Julius Kipng'etich, he's talked to me on joining some boards in previous times, but we work together. We are business associate. I respect him. His intellectual horsepower is outstanding. Practical example. Today we've just had practical example. I remembered women in my village who had resilience, who have got courage, who have got flexibility, and how one old lady who didn't have school fees for her children, and how she kept moving from one chief to another with so much courage to be able to marshal funds for her to take her children to school. I remembered all those people today when I was thinking about the courage and the power and the resilience that women bring. I'm like, let's stand up and move. So again, Pat, Florah, John, let's support Catherine and the women on board as ambassador, influencing decision, influencing policies, so that we can have women really take us forward in the 21st century. I'm so excited, Catherine, and I thank you, and thank all the women on board for being present, because I know they want to serve.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rita. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, because I see Calvin is here as well, and he's a member of our board, as well as Reverend Jenga. Thank you very much. So we have brand ambassadors who are willing to influence policy and decisions for women on boards. We have brand ambassadors who are willing to provide their time to mentor us. We have brand ambassadors who are there to handhold us. We have brand ambassadors who will walk with us our leadership journey. Hannah, can I request that you do the honors of the award to our brand ambassadors today? Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. Those are our brand ambassadors. If we were in a live function, we would be shaking their hands and doing whatever it is. But in a virtual setting, may I request that we clap for our brand ambassadors? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. So, those to whom much is given, much is expected of them. I'm not even going to be shy about my requests to them about influencing policy, influencing decisions to get more women on boards. That is my expectation. I'm not going to be shying away from saying it to our brand ambassadors. So that is what we are expecting from them. Rose, you have some gifts for our brand ambassadors and our guests today. Can I hand over to you?
Absolutely. Thank you, Catherine, and congratulations to the brand ambassadors who've joined us this morning. And as you rightly said, to whom much is given, much is expected. And this is the point that we come to where we have honorary gifts to those who have been able to share their thoughts and insights this morning. And you know what we say, some gifts are big, others are small, but the ones that come from the heart are the best of them all. So please accept these gifts from our hearts as women on boards. And so I'll request Hannah to please share the gifts, albeit virtually. I'm sure we'll find a way to get this to you in the course of the week. So Hannah. Okay, so the first category are gifts to our guests and panelists. Daktari Mzee wa Kijiji, ya women on boards, there you have it. A nice shuka for you, as well as a rungu.
Thank you.
So that you can open the path for us. Florah Mutahi, we have a nice bowl, as well as a little fan. When it gets too hot in the boardroom, perhaps you could then be able to cool things off for us a little bit. Next.
Thank you.
Okay, John, we have a shuka for you as well, and a nice rungu there, so that you can always tell it to us as it is. Always be candid and speak the truth for us.
You can rely on that.
Thank you, John. And then Patricia as well, a beautiful bowl there. Not sure whether it will be fruits or some sweets or chocolates, but there you have it, and a nice fan as well. And last but not least, we have something beautiful as well for Rita. Thank you so much, ladies, for charting the path for us, and we look forward to working in your footsteps. So thank you all. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, Hannah. I think at this juncture, we also want to appreciate our sponsor, Property Zone East Africa. Thank you for sponsoring this event for us. We're coming to the end of our program, and I know that, John, you need to leave. Yes. Yes, Catherine.
Rose, perhaps we can ask our brand ambassadors to say a few words in acceptance of their new role. And thank you to our sponsors once again, Property Zone.
Okay. Thank you, Catherine. So we can start off with John, and then Florah, and then Daktari.
I'm not sure whether to say thank you or to say yet another load, but I think I will be able to manage this one and will definitely enjoy it. It will really be a continuation of what I have been doing. But boy, I'm not sure where these hours will come from, but thank you.
Thank you, John. Rose?
Okay, so is Florah on the call?
Yes, I am. Yes, in another location. So thank you very much. Pleasant surprise. I will definitely step up to the role. And for me, the more we see women on at the table, the better off we are. So you can count on me and count on my support. Asanteni sana. And thanks for this brilliant network. It has really helped us, like Patricia was saying, when we are asked, because we are always asked, it's very nice to come to this network and say, why don't you use ABCD? So thank you very much for even the efforts that have been put, and congratulations on the 7 years.
Thank you, Florah. Thank you very much. Okay, last but not least, Daktari.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's a great honor for me to be appointed as a brand ambassador. I will try my best. I always tell people there are many boards out there, Some of them are voluntary. Majority of the boards I sit in are voluntary. And it's always good to begin from there. You own your skills. So there are many opportunities out there. And I'm glad to join this network to enable other citizens, and more so women, to provide leadership. You know, as a father of daughters, I think one day my daughters will stand on the shoulders of the women in this forum, and they will say, our father contributed something to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kipng'etich. Thank you all. So at this juncture, I would like to invite Faith to be able to do the vote of thanks for us. Are you on the call?
So Rose, this is Nkirote, and I am standing in for Faith, and really just to appreciate each and every one of you, particularly our speakers today, our new brand ambassadors, Daktari, John, Flora. We really are so glad that you have joined, Patricia and Rita, not only in helping us expand our horizons this morning, but also committing to expand your time. I think John mentioned, where will the hours come from? But we are so grateful indeed as the Women on Boards Network that you're willing to do that for us and for everyone who has come on this morning. If this team of ambassadors is willing to expand their time for you, reach out and take what they are offering. When we advertise for mentorship, when we advertise for any of the programs, come on board, participate fully, be present, show up so that they can show you off. So it's really critical that you come. I can see on the chat a number of the ladies are asking, how can I become a member? What programs are coming up next? You certainly, we have your details, but please reach out to Mrs. Wanga, to Hannah, or Kantai. They will provide you with the membership requirements. And if you want those requirements or any information about the Women on Boards Network, please put it on the chat. We are so glad that you could be with us. 7 years. And 7 is a significant number. It's a number that denotes in some spheres some completion and ushering in a new season. And so even as Daktari spoke about being in class 2, right now in our new curriculum, even class 2s are being assessed to usher in a new season. And here we are presenting ourselves to be assessed and to usher in a new season of newness for Women on Boards Network. And so thank you, our chair, Catherine, for bringing out some of the new things that we're going to be doing in the next season, including the mentorship sessions. But even as we come to a close of this forum, I think it would not be right if we did not introduce those who are behind all this, working tirelessly day and night to ensure that this network thrives and that we are here for you, serving you. In particular, I think I want to start with the staff members because they're really the wind beneath our wings. And just to mention on this call that from our secretariat, there is Mrs. Agnes Wanga. She's the one who keeps calling you, just letting you know what's going on, asking for your information. And Agnes, if you're on, please do put on your camera, as well as Hannah and Kantai, who really serve us so diligently every day. We really do appreciate you. Then we also have our board. And first and foremost, our chair, Catherine, you whip us into shape but you inspire us and you lead us so well, and we are really grateful for you, and we thank God for you. And so too, the other members, some are present, some were not able to be here this morning, but I'll introduce them nonetheless. And if you are here as a board member, when I do mention you, please put on your video so that we can see you. We have Calvin Nyachoti, one of the co-founders and also a member of the board. Calvin, if you're here, we would love to see you. We also have Rose. Rose is not able to join us this morning, but we really do appreciate her too. We do have chairs of the various committees, and they lead very able teams. And we have Reverend Njenga, who prayed for us at the beginning. He chairs our policy and advocacy committee, and we are so grateful for him, as well as Judith Sidi Odhiambo. I think Judith is also here on the call, who chairs our membership and programs committee. If she had an opportunity, I know Judith would be telling us about the programs that are coming up, the board profiling workshop, which starts on Monday, the 12th. There's still a couple of slots there, and Hannah will be sharing the flyer again, both on this chat and also on our WhatsApp groups. If you wish to attend this board profiling workshop with TP from Malaysia, please do express your interest. And also, I know Judith would want to tell us about the Global Women on Boards program that is starting at the end of this month on 28th of April. I think Patricia put it so ably that mentorship and even learning is not just about those who you can see face to face. In this program, you will be meeting with other participants and mentors from across the globe, and it is run with lead women in Malaysia, and that has also been put on the chat. We do have an early bird discount that goes out that is on until the 15th of April, but please do reach out. Chairing our finance partnerships and administration committee is Faith Nkatha. Faith is probably not on today, but I mean, they are doing an amazing job to ensure that we remain accountable on how we use your membership fees, as well as any other finances that we may have, including sponsorships. And so we do appreciate the entire board where I also serve. I also want to thank you, those who have reached out to sponsor, and today particularly, thank you to the sponsor of this day, and we heard from you earlier, and we are grateful that you could be here. Ladies, I have really, and gentlemen as well, I've really not much I can say more, aside from saying thank you for making the time. We thank God that we have this opportunity, and to say, let us work together to make this network what it was really intended for, that we should uplift one another. Mother Teresa of Calcutta, the late Mother Teresa, said, none of us, including me, ever do great things. And I think Catherine said this earlier, but we can all do small things with great love, and together we can do something wonderful. And I think that's what Women on Boards network mantra is all about. Let's do small things wherever we are with great love, aligned to our individual and collective purpose. And I'm sure we'll be able to do something wonderful in influencing the policy and the growth, not only of our country, but of the region, of the continent, and even globally. And so thank you so much for making the time. Thank you for being here. My name is Nkirote, and I am so glad that you could be with us. I know that Rosang, you are an awesome facilitator, and thank you for just taking us through so seamlessly. I know likely you want us to take a photograph together, and I know Hannah or Kantai will be doing that for us. So even as we come to a close, we would love it if you're still here. put on your camera right now. I think we will be guided as to when the photograph is ready. When you put on the camera, please smile. A smile speaks 1,000 words, so that we can take this photograph together and commemorate this season. And we look forward to being with you for the next 7 and the next 7 and thereafter, so that we can grow together. So thank you very much. Catherine, thank you again. Rose, any last word before we take our photograph? Have a great day all, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Nkirote, for the vote of thanks and for your kind words. I think for me today, this morning has been well spent. And I would like to challenge the ladies in this platform that your entire universe is in your mind and nowhere else. And so to expand the universe, you must expand your mind. And so go ye forth, expand your horizon, broaden your mind, and when you do, you will broaden your vision. So thank you so much. And it has been such a pleasure facilitating and moderating this session. Thank you, Catherine and Women on Board's team, for having the courage to allow me to moderate this 7th anniversary, and happy, happy birthday. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Rose.
and goodbye.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
So I think we can all put our videos on, and I hope, Nkirote, you're ready with your camera. I can only see very few people, so I don't know where the rest are. We are 154, so I should see 154 faces possibly on this screen. Okay. So, Kentai, you let us know when you're ready.
All right.
Okay, I'm not seeing too many faces. Let's put on our cameras, please.
Can't tell, your smiles are freezing.
It's all right now. I think you've had enough.
Okay, so we didn't know you were taking photos.
Of course, I saw my smile.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, our brand ambassadors. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Properties Rose. Have a great, great weekend, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.